of good governance and transparency in the extractives sector. The week-long forum would feature local and international presenters and highlight resources and tools to strengthen transparency, increase advocacy, and provide opportunities for sharing knowledge and experiences about Guyana's extractives sector. Hear from the Minister of Natural Resources, the Honorable Vikram Bharat, Ambassador of the United States of America, Sarah Ann Lynch, and experts in the field. Register now at geitw@padf.org. Sponsored by USAID, implemented by Pan American Development Foundation.
Hi there and welcome to your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. My name is Josh Van Sleckman. Let's get to the news in detail. Just before we get out, let's bring you the top stories we're tracking today. Government moves to create public register to expose all beneficial owners in oil and gas mining sectors. Bare minimum on energy transition by Exxon or the majors not enough anymore, according to Wood Mackenzie analysis. And meanwhile, Lowenfield faces 2 more elections fraud charges called into CID along with Myers. Stay tuned to stay informed. And now for the news in details. Chief Elections Officer of the Guyana Elections Commission, Keith Lowenfield, will be facing 2 more charges. The information was relayed to the media house after Lowenfield was yesterday called into the Criminals Investigation Department of Eve Larry Kingston, along with Roxanne Myers, the Deputy Chief Elections Officer. They both arrived at the CID headquarters sometime after 15 hours yesterday with their respective lawyers. Crime Chief Wendell Blanham said that the Guyana Police Force will be instituting 2 additional charges of conspiracy to defraud against Keith Lowenfield. He added that Claremont Mingo, the returning officer for Region 4, was called in, and today the media will be updated on whether or not he and Myers will be faced with additional charges. Lowenfield, Myers, and Mingo are currently facing multiple criminal charges related to the alleged attempts to rig the March 2nd general and regional elections held in 2020. Meanwhile, former managing director of the Guyana Water Incorporated, Dr. Richard Van Westchilds, said on Monday that he cannot deny if double charging occurred during his tenure at the company, but if it did, it had nothing to do with him. Van Westchilds made these comments during his appearance on an online show called In Perspective, hosted by Bratsford Burke. Burke had asked Van Westchilds to shed some clarity on the allegations made in recent GWI press conferences that double charging and on transportation and invoices was a practice under his leadership of the company. In response, Van Westchilds stated, "I can't say that it doesn't exist, but it has nothing to do with me." The ex-GWI managing director mentioned too that when he was in charge of operations, that one of the suspicious case of double invoicing, he had discovered a collaboration between somebody in finance with one of the suppliers in terms of double invoicing. So that did occur, he said. When Kaieteur contacted him yesterday for some added clarity, Van Westphal reiterated what based on what was discovered, it didn't seem as if there was some collaboration between someone in the Department of Finance and a supplier of someone working with the supplier. He added that the information was passed on to the GWI's Executive Director of Corporate Services, Nigel Niles, and an internal audit for investigations. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. We tell you now that according to Natural Resources Minister Vikram Bharat, the PPPC government has issued a request for expression of interest to establish a beneficial ownership register. He was keen to note that the establishment of the register would be in keeping with the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative standard. The call for release of information on beneficial ownership was made by EITI in October 2020. The international body has said it decided to crack down on this global problem since hidden identities in the extractive sectors only help to feed corruption and tax evasion. It also said that people who live in resource-rich countries are at particular risk of losing out when facing this problem, as extractive assets are too often misallocated for corrupt reasons. A few weeks ago, the oil industry witnessed 3 shocking events. ExxonMobil lost 3 board seats due to its weak strategy in climate change. Shareholders voted for Chevron to significantly reduce its carbon footprint, and Shell lost a court case in the Netherlands that will require it to speed up its emission reduction. In the eyes of Chief Analyst and Chairman of Wood Mackenzie, Simon Flowers, these events clearly demonstrate that investors will no longer accept the bare minimum from the world's largest oil explorers on climate change. In his most recent commentary, Flowers said, these 3 events will trigger a effect through the wider sector, with more shareholders' action throughout courts and annual general meetings. No board, whether major national oil companies or independent, can now afford to dismiss the energy transition. The time frame for change is accelerating, driven by investors' pressure more than fundamentals. The Guyana Police Force and the Guyana Police Service has launched a manhunt after, that should be the Guyana Police Force and the Guyana Prison Service, have launched a manhunt after 2 inmates reportedly escaped from the Lusignan prison yesterday. The escaped prisoners have been identified as a 24-year-old Shazam Kayal of 53 Shield Tongue, West Bank, Berbice, and 26-year-old Andrew Chung of 73 New Road, Vreeden Hoop, West Coast, Demerara. It is understood that Chung was in the lockups after he was remanded in April of this year for break and enter and larceny, while Kyle was sentenced to life imprisonment back in 2016. He was found guilty of murdering 19-year-old Shamiza Mohammed, his ex-girlfriend. You're listening to us right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Still to come, gold miner killed in row over girlfriend. How her Stellan residents accused Trini Company of damaging road and noise nuisance. Passenger hijacked taxi after luring driver into trap. And government seek supplementary $10 billion to aid in flood relief efforts. Stay tuned to stay informed. After high-speed chase, cop arrested teen with gun and stolen bike. Meanwhile, 5 more Guyanese succumb to COVID-19.
This is GHK.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Several residents who reside within the First Bridge Herselin New Housing Scheme, East Bank, Demerara, are complaining about a Trinidadian construction firm that has been destroying the roads and causing a major disturbance within the community. The company Junior Sammy Guyana Inc. has been in operation since last year, but has been conducting routine work in the area for the last 3 months. According to the residents, one of the residents who spoke to Kaieteur stated that he had to spend over $300,000 to reinforce his home due to the frequent passing of companies' sand trucks, which he says caused cracking in his house. He stated that the other houses in the community suffered similar damages and also needed to be reinforced. The residents stated that they contacted the Little Diamond Herstellin National District Council about the situation, but was told that the area is yet to be handed over to the Ministry of Housing to the NDC. Hence, the council was unable to intervene. Get the full details in today's Kaieteur News. Following the high-speed chase on Monday in South Rheinfeldt, Georgetown, police rank arrested 2 teenagers with an illegal gun and a stolen motorcycle. The suspects were identified as a 16-year-old and an 18-year-old. According to a police report, the boys were captured around 16 hours 30. Police reported that the ranks were on a motorcycle patrol when they spotted the teen on a blue motorcycle along the Tuckville Road. The cops decided to stop them, but instead of complying with the ranks, they sped off towards Tuckville Turning Point and then turned south into High Palm Drive, where the police in pursuit cornered them. They reportedly left the motorcycle behind and tried to run, but did not get far as they were captured after some distance. The government of Ghana will be seeking $10 billion supplementary provision at the 28th sitting of the 12th Parliament tomorrow to aid in flood relief efforts. According to Vice President Dr. Barath Jagdeo, who made the announcement during an interview on Globespan 24/7 show on Monday, the funds will be utilized to address damaged infrastructure, roads and bridges that were washed away, provide assistance to farmers and gold miners whose livelihood have been affected, and to continuously provide immediate assistance in hampers, etc. The VP added, if you recall back in 2005, the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean did a study and found that the impact of that flood, we lost about 59, equivalent to 59% of gross domestic product. And I suspect if we were to do a similar assessment now, you would see massive loss in gross domestic product. However, Dr. Jagdeo further stated that we have had unusual level of rainfall and high tides, adding that he was reliably informed that we will be experiencing high tides for a few days, which will further complicate matters. And moving on with your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio. A 23-year-old shop owner on his first court appearance yesterday admitted to the court that the only crime he's involved in is selling of petty narcotics. Moments after the magistrate remanded the defendant to prison, he started an uproar while he was being escorted to the court's lockup. The defendant, Dennis Johnson, appeared in the Georgia Magistrate's Court before Principal Magistrate Shuttle Isaac Marcus, charged for robbing a taxi driver of his motor car and his cellular phone. He denied the charge, which alleged on May 20, 2021 at Caneview Avenue, where in the company of another and armed with a dangerous weapon, he robbed Alwyn De Silva of a motor car valued $3.6 million and a cell phone valued $4,000. Johnson told the court that De Silva is lying. The matter was adjourned to June 18, 2021. We tell you now that the Ministry of Health yesterday recorded that 5 more persons who tested positive for COVID-19 have died. As a result of this, the country's COVID-19 death toll has moved to 416. The latest fatalities are that of a 65-year-old man from Region 5 and a 72-year-old woman and a 70-year-old man, both from Region 4. A 56-year-old woman and a 66-year-old man, both from Region 3. 87 new cases were recorded, taking the total number of confirmed cases to 17,805. 17 patients are in the ICU, 95 persons are in institutional isolation, 1,649 in home isolation, and 3 are quarantined institutionally. To date, a total of 15,628 persons have recovered from the virus. It is now 12 hours 19 in Guyana and right across the Eastern Caribbean. It is time for us to turn our attention to the page 7 of the Kaieteur News that is dedicated of being blunt. Fellow Guyanese, we are losing $1 million every month that goes by with this oppressive Exxon contract. We have no full coverage insurance from the oil people. Furthermore, the country does not know the interest rate we are paying for the 20 billion loans for the Liza 1 and 2 in Payara. And we do not even know how much they are taking out to clean up costs. This contract is worse than any oil contract in the last 100 years. It must be noted, however, that the contract allows for renegotiation, but our leaders, all of them, are not in favor of renegotiation. We need this contract to be renegotiated. We cannot sit back and relax and allow this contract to throw us back into slavery, or have us continue to look like beggars to the world. But we cannot win this fight in isolation. We all have to do our part to demand that the contract is renegotiated. Moreover, Glenn Lal, the publisher of the Kaieteur newspaper, is calling you out of your homes and offices or wherever you are 9 a.m. to gaffe only for 5 minutes with your neighbors, friends and colleagues about the renegotiation of the contract. Drivers, you can toot your horn in support from 9 hours to 9 hours 5. You can snap a few photos and post them to social media and even send a few to his WhatsApp number 624-6456 so that the world can know and see that together we are demanding the renegotiation of the Exxon contract. Let's continue to do this every Monday, Wednesday and Friday until we overcome. And with that, we've come to the end of your main newscast right here on Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. Let me remind you that you can get the full details of these stories and much more by picking up a copy of the Kaieteur News at the newsstand near you or head across their website at kaieteurnewsonline.com. I am Joshua Van Sleckman. Thank